And this is the Nobody Talks Shidduchim podcast, episode 25, Not Up My Alley, and all of the politically correct responses you'll need to give over to your shadchan as well as date. Basically, we're going to be chatting about the responses that are really tough to articulate and convey over to the shadchan, or the guy or the girl. And once again, joining me live in our studio, we're here with Fifi, my wonderful co-host companion. Fifi.
What's up, IJ?
Welcome. And wonderful Leah.
Hi.
And we like to welcome a new guest host, Rosie.
Hey, guys.
Welcome, welcome. There's a bunch of things to get to here, and I'm looking forward to getting into it, even though you might not be up my alley. I have my co-hosts here, wonderful gang. We're going to discuss these classic responses you're going to hear from the shadchan. I've garnered a certain amount of responses. What were you thinking? Were you drunk? She's not my look. Fifi.
Like she's not up my alley.
All those little verbiages that mean watch out.
I have the same problem too, Rosie. Like, as well as those phrases and puns and jargons that we're so inclined to responding to with the typical shadchan. But that's what I want to convey. Like, I have mixed feelings with some of these requests that these shadchanim are, pretend like they have some pretentious expertise. Like, what do you mean they're not up your alley? I think it's very clear that I mean that they're not my type. She's not my type. But there's a lot more nuances that you have to get into. Fifi.
Like what is your type? Like, what would you be specifically speaking about?
Well, I like that. So I would love to hear that response. But that's not what I hear from the shadchan. She usually says, oh, well, you're picky, basically. I'm like, no, I'm not picky. I mean,
it doesn't have to be picky. It's just you have what you're looking for, and that's not what you're looking for. So they want to know what you're looking for, but they're not going to give you the time to really understand.
Yeah, they don't give you the time at all. I mean, girls, same situation on your end. Like, this person they're sending you is not up your alley.
Mm-hmm. They probably have like one of the things that I like out of the list that I gave to the shadchan, and they probably have like maybe one or two things that like are being acknowledged. So yeah, totally agree.
And like, how do you respond? I mean, I feel like the girl, digress. I know that the girls have a much tougher time actually having to give that feedback. Like, you are much more content with what you would like to actually say. Like, he's too short. He's not from the area I told you I'm interested in. He's out of town, whatever it may be. Because as guys, we get so many more resumes.
I mean,
yeah,
Rosie?
but sometimes you can't even like articulate what was not your type. And then they just go, well, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean?
Well, why can't you articulate it? That's the question. Is that because you have to be politically correct?
Well, sometimes yeah, and sometimes no. Because sometimes, how many people have you dated? Right? And that on paper, they're your type, but you can't put it into words.
You can't pinpoint
because they're just not your type.
I don't think you really know what you're looking for.
Yeah, that's what the shadchan would say.
Bro, that's dudes and dudettes. That's what I'm talking about here.
So you don't want to get that response. So you have to give something that's going to be politically correct, or else you're going to get, well, you don't know what you're looking for.
And
right?
like, what, my experience doesn't matter? Like, I'm doing this for, let's just pretend I'm doing this 15 years, which I'm not, right, lady? I'm not.
Why do you have to be so experienced?
Okay, fine. Well, I'm doing this for 25 years.
Yeah, that's what
my
the contractor
says. That
yeah.
25, you don't tell me, I know what, okay. So why can't I just want to throw the curveball right back at them and be like, I'm doing this for many years. Can you just trust me? Or can you at least have a brain and ask me, well, what do you mean by that? Just like you just asked Fifi.
Yeah. You have to be a little bit more specific. Like, if you're going to say she's not up my alley, well, you have to be like, well, why not? And if it's something really really bad, then you have to decide whether or not you're going to share that with the shadchan or not. Because if you are, then the shadchan's going to know that this is what happened. And if you're not going to share it with the shadchan, then you're just going to leave it as an unknown, and the shadchan has no information, and they're kind of like, well, what do we do with that? We just got a lost connection.
Yeah, but let me ask you a question. How many times do you actually give like the truth that you think of that girl when the shadchan says, well, why not? Right? Instead of you saying, well, they're just really not my type. Are you actually going to say, she's ugly, she's fat, she's stupid?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't have to say, I wouldn't say it exactly like that, but I would have to try and say it politically correct. And that means that I would say something like, well, she seemed a little bit ingenuine, you know? And that means that, and that means that she was like playing her part, but I didn't feel like I got to know her after
so that's
3-4 days.
But that's at the time you're already seeing the girl.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
What scenario are we in?
Well, right now we're pre the date. Like this is just kind of handling.
Okay. I didn't realize that.
Yes. Well, no, let's just get to that.
Well,
right.
That's so much more abstract because you have no idea.
Yeah, you can't really decide.
You really do not know.
You're talking about based on
well,
picture?
No, I could a lot of times tell it. It's like, hey, you got a resume that says I like to take long walks on the beach and I play with my dog all day, and I'm like, no. But how do you?
Thank you, Rosie. It's exactly my point.
So then it's like, okay, but why not? He's a great boy. I've only dated the best, smartest, most beautiful chesed boys in the world.
I'm chesed. I'm full. I'm chesed full.
Chesed full. Good to know. So how do you discriminate? Like when you get a resume of, is it going to work for me? Is it not going to work for me? Because they're always pushing the people on you, right? So then you can't say they're not my type.
Well, everyone's going to say the same thing in the write-up. But let's just say you get this resume and they don't have a normal shidduch resume picture. So you get a picture of, it just looks weird. You're not attracted to it.
So as a girl, I think sometimes it's a little tough when you're getting pictures of guys and they don't come off as the same guy you saw in the picture. I have an interesting story that a few dates back, I got a picture of a guy. He had a baseball cap on and I thought he was cute. I said yes and it was the first date and he opened the door and I saw like he was completely bald. I mean, he had a kippah on, but he was like completely bald and I was like a little thrown back. And I didn't obviously I can't not go on the date at that point. And I had no idea.
Yeah.
And
when you got the picture.
Shadchan didn't say anything about him being bald. And it was a little uncomfortable for me because he also brought it up a couple times. And he was telling me
he
how
was
he lost his
insecure
hair.
about it.
He was insecure about it and I felt bad. But really I didn't think it was going to go on a second date after that. I didn't also whatever. It wasn't just the bald thing.
It's totally fine. And yes, guys are much more based off of looks. I just refuse to do it because everyone's like, oh, I don't judge. I'm the most judgmental person that there is. Yeah. So if I already have an inkling of oh, I don't like that he spelled his name with a Y instead of an I, and then I see a picture, I'm like, done. So what's the point of me seeing a picture?
I mean, he doesn't decide how he spells his name. You know that, right?
Depends.
Now they know. Well, yeah, I understand those presupposing it matters for sure. Look, personally, I could just say it is very tough for me to say, she's not my look, or whatever else, the nonsense. But ultimately, for me, if a shadchan sends me the resume and the info, and I don't get a picture, I'm like, look, it's not going to work. If they don't want to send me a picture, it's not going to work. And I feel comfortable at this point, but sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes it's not easy to get that response. Okay, guys, so with setting up the scenario segment, I wanted to take it back to the beginning of your shadchan relationship. Think about it. You finally found a shadchan you like. She sends you a great girl or a guy, exactly your look. Parents aren't serial killers. She doesn't, work at McDonald's, let's say. She doesn't get back to you after a few dates with a yes. You're walking so high and mighty. You just split the sea or something, You split the yamsuf. So you're on the date and you notice the girl doesn't wear any makeup or the guy doesn't brush his teeth or do his hair, train wreck. Just one red flag, for you. And then you get, to talking about clothing and here she says they're not into it, not my thing. I don't like to put myself together. And, the social acceptability in that is just the whole thing. I just want to wear sweatpants all day. And, you're sitting there very well dressed up, wearing Gucci shoes, Louis Vuitton belt, Shady Ray glasses, Shady Rays. And you're thinking in a sense, I'm ready to end this. Okay. Aside from that one huge factor, okay, you really click with this person. The looks, hashkafa, the personality. The question I would, propose to you is, how do you tell the shadchan the nicest way possible without hurting either of their feelings, so the girl, the guy, or the shadchan, like without obviously trying to mess anything up? Like, how do you say, like, I need this person to dress better? Can they put on some darn makeup? Can he just put his hair together?
Well, I think you should be honest with the shadchan. You have to be straightforward and explain exactly what's going on. And obviously you want to say it in a way that's not too hurtful, but you got to get the message across.
Leah?
I don't think you should tell the shadchan anything, because let's say the shadchan is really close with this girl. You don't want to hurt her feelings. You don't want to make her feel bad that maybe she really is trying, and that's like her way of like looking good, and you're like going to put her down like that to the shadchan. You don't want to be in that situation.
Well, I mean, Leo, look, if you're going to say something to the shadchan and that's going to turn the shadchan off, that's probably a little scary. And you don't want to treat this whole situation like it's not serious. You want to be you want to move this forward. You're looking to continue going out with this girl. You have to take it seriously. You can't just take it like, oh, you know what, we'll just keep going out. I mean, to be honest, it actually happened to me, this exact scenario. No joke. And it was really difficult because I went out with somebody and some days they looked great and other days they just looked horrible. I mean, I was just like, wow.
Hello. We all have that. That happens to all of us. You think you look good all the time?
Yeah,
no.
No way.
Whoa, Rosie, what the so you think it's offensive?
It's super offensive. Do you look good every single time you leave your house?
I mean, look,
Fifi.
I don't put on
Guys, it's a little easier.
makeup. I don't put on
I agree
makeup,
with
but
Yeah, and by
I
the
put on a
way,
little eyelash every
once
now
you're
and
married,
I
you could tell
wonder.
your wife, hey, I like when you wear a red lipstick. It's like makeup you put on, you take off. It's a very personal thing.
Yeah,
You'll get
but
used to the way that she looks. And
it could
like,
be very unattractive.
hey, listen, it's not like a bad habit. It's not like you're smoking or drinking yourself. Like that's something that like is actually super important.
I actually I think it's so okay if they drink and smoke. What's the problem? But let me ask you, ladies, if he's too short, what do you say?
That's a big one.
How do you determine that? Do you ask, or
Or
is it on the
she's
shut?
Sometimes it's on the
Or she-
resume.
Is it on the resume?
If
the
it's
height?
not on the resume, you know there's a problem.
Yes.
Really,
It's like
Yeah.
if there's no birthday on the resume, you know it's a problem.
Yeah.
Well, how would you
Or
tell
they
that
lie
to the
about their
shadchan?
height.
So then, no, you just straight out ask.
You
hey,
just straight
how
out
tall are
ask,
they?
and
Like,
they'd be like, "Oh, I didn't see that."
well,
you caught that.
No, it's always like, well, he has a great personality.
Definitely.
Oh,
the,
yeah.
the birthday on the shot on
What
the
is that?
resume is very important.
What does
I
that
agree
mean?
with
If,
that.
Yeah.
if they have a great personality,
They
they're
have a very-
physically unattractive. If
They
they're
carry their weight well.
yeah, okay, yeah, all
Or
of those. It
He
doesn't
has
end.
a great presence to him. Is like all those little verbiages
Oh,
that
right.
mean watch out. But I happen to be short. And like for me, I do like a tall guy. I'm not gonna lie to you. So, but I don't think it's fair if I'm so short to expect a tall guy. So I have to like drop my standards, quote unquote, a little bit.
I mean, I guess I'm a little taller, so I would like a guy that is taller than me, especially if like I wanted to wear heels or something like that. Like girls always say like, oh, I want them to be like taller than me, even if I'm wearing heels. I heard that before, but I think height is a little bit tricky because I don't know. I think
So you're saying you wouldn't give a chance to someone because they're not tall enough?
no, I think I still
Are
would.
you not giving
I
a chance to
still
someone
would.
because she's not pretty enough?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, well, but that's. Well, I'm just starting. Yeah,
Well, height
I'm just
and-
giving.
height
I'm
and
on your
prettiness
side
is,
here.
a
you
little
know,
similar.
Yeah, no, for
a
sure.
person
If a
can't really
girl
get
wasn't,
taller.
if it, if someone didn't,
We
meet
could get
up
prettier,
to
you're
my-
saying?
yeah, girls can get prettier. What should a shadchan be allowed to say as a way to convince the person that they're trying to convince to go out with the person? I mean, what's a valid reason, and what's a reason that's a little bit like, under the belt type of response? What do you girls think?
Well, it really also depends on your relationship with the shadchan. So if it's just a shadchan that got your number from another girl who found it from her mother-in-law, you could just be like, no, I'm sorry, it's really not for me. But when it's your mother's best friend or your sister-in-law's mother and they know the boy personally, met him once, by the way, then it's much harder. Because then you can't insult them by saying absolutely not, what the heck are you thinking? But at the same time, you got to be like, thank you so much. I really
Ugh, I
appreciate
hate
it.
that. I hate that response.
Yeah.
I would never do that. I would say, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not interested." That's it.
But why?
I would say.
But
because,
he's great.
Well,
I just set him
I
up
don't
with
think
my
This
son.
is
Everything
going to
you're
work
looking
for you.
What?
It's really going to work for you. I'm telling you, I found out about him. He is so cute. He's so cute. He has everything going from, he has a great job. He works on Amazon. I'm sorry for anybody who works on Amazon. And
He's in cash advance.
that's a good one too. He's just a go-getter. He travels. He has a great relationship with his family.
Okay, so send me his resume.
Oh, of
I'll take a
course.
look at it.
Oh, how about this? How about
Send it to me after. We'll both take a look at it.
How about this one? This one just happened to me. Okay, so obviously the best boy in the world, because I only date the best boys, and my mother's friend, she's awesome. She sets me up with never anyone who's ever for me, but like it's very hard to convey to her. So this time we came home and she called me within like 5 minutes. She's like, "Hey, what's going on?"
After
I was
the date?
After the date.
Okay.
No, sorry. You know
gosh.
what? It wasn't 5 minutes. That's a lie because it was probably like an hour after. I was like, "Whoa, that's pretty fast." She's like, "Listen, Rosie, I just met the boy for the first time. I didn't know who he was, so I told him to come to my house to say hi to me. He is so cute. He is so funny. I really, really love him." So I was like, "Oh, interesting," because I didn't laugh once, and I was pretty like, not bored, but this just went nowhere. And she's like, "But why? He's great. What's wrong? Why not? Why not?" And I'm like, Gitty, I can't tell you why. It just wasn't working out. And she's like, "Well, I don't know what that means because, again, he's great. He's great. What was wrong about him that you didn't like? What am I doing wrong? How can I get this better?"
Well, maybe the question is just too vague. I mean, you have to
So-
ask a more specific question.
So,
You can't
yes.
say what's wrong with the person. I mean, people are nice people.
Right,
you know
but
what I mean?
sometimes they don't
So you
like
can't argue
that.
with that. I'm not going to argue with, the person, he's a horrible person, I would never say that. But I would say something like, well, I mean, there was no sparks, there's no chemistry.
But you don't get chemistry in the first date.
Okay, so then you should
Don't
go out
ever
on a
say that.
second date. Go on a second
So,
date.
but what if you don't want to go on a second date? I did not want to see this guy again. So she's like, "Why don't you give me the list of everything that you want? Because I'm not getting it right." And you know, this the type
wow.
of people.
That is
Yeah.
that is the quintessential line for this podcast right here. Yes.
Okay, so can any of you?
She wants a
give
checklist?
Yeah, she
She
wants a checklist.
Give me the checklist. Give me the
So-
checklist. And you know what? I'll call Hashem right now. We'll create the person and we'll bring him down for Shemayim and you'll live happily ever after.
So I just flipped it right back on her, and she
Totally
so she
flip
was
it back
like,
at them.
What did you do? What did you say?
I basically
Totally.
told her, I said, "Hey, did you have a list when you were dating?" And she's like, "I was also older. I was single for a while. I dated
I was
40
also older. I
boys."
was 25 just now.
And also-
Thank you for rubbing it in because you know I'm not
Exactly.
25.
And I was like, "Oh, okay. So when you met your husband, was he any of the things that you wanted? Was that on your list of anything that you wanted?" And she's like, "Well, no." I said, "Okay. The first time you met him, what was your reaction?" She's like, "Well, I just kind of knew." And I was like, "Oh, how did you know? Is that something you can put into words?" And she was like, "I understand what you're saying." The end. Hopefully she never calls me back again. But if she does, it's going to be that one.
I love that, and it literally sets up the stage for like the issues we're gonna have with Shadchanim, like because I have the same problem too, Rosie. Like my mother's friend, I know this woman's my mother's friend, but they don't know me and stop sending me these outrageous ideas. It's just it gets to a ridiculous point. They send you such garbage because they don't take it's passion for me because they don't think to ask me, they don't think to reach out, they don't think to even get my resume first. It's always like, she thought of a great idea for you, so send her the resume, we're gonna send you the resume. Well, why don't you ask for my resume and then maybe read what I'm looking for instead of just looking out of the blue and just sending me stuff. And it's very tough for us to kind of conjugate some kind of word, nice wording to response to them, without flipping them off. So I totally get it. And we are gonna just take a little bit of a break right now, but hey, take a look at this. We got some awesome stuff on the webpage, shidduchpodcast.com, and you guys can get it on your phone right under articles. So go to shidduchpodcast.com right under articles, and you'll find some awesome topics, actually very, very apropos to what we're posting here. We got some stuff from Aish and from Yeshiva World and many of the Jewish newspapers, getting a little bit more into the nitty gritty of this episode's topic. So take a look, and we'll be back right after this.
Hey listeners, it's Misty from the Nobody Talk to Dochen podcast, and I understand that between work, school, and your shidduch responsibilities, it can be really difficult to find time to read. Well, now, thanks to Audible, you can listen to your favorite books and authors anywhere at any time. I love that I've been able to catch up on the latest audiobooks with Audible, including some audiobooks by my favorite authors, John Grisham, Colleen Hoover, and Rachel Hollis. Whether I'm in my car, at the gym, shopping for groceries, or even during bad dates, I love how convenient Audible is. Here's how you sign up for the Audible. Just click on the link in our show notes and you get a free 30-day trial along with 3 free audiobooks. Remember, the average person reads 12 books a year, so don't be average.
I can't stand when the shadchan says, just go for a coffee. It'll be a few minutes. I cannot stand the coffee line, okay? In my opinion, yes, a coffee date won't kill me, but honestly, my time is money. And it's really just gonna be a big fat no. So lay off.
It doesn't have to be about like the time is like my time is money. I think also like emotionally, maybe you just are not down to like spend another time with another person that you really don't think you're gonna be compatible with. So maybe just saying no to like the shadchan has to like lay off. Like it's also like an emotional stress. It's not just time and money.
Yeah, but they're just having these, so you don't have to go out on a 2.5-hour date and invest yourself. Like, here, hey, let's meet for like 45 minutes, then I could tell you if I want to move on or not. So technically, why not? They're awesome.
Oh, come on. Look, it's never just, a half hour. First of all, she wants to order the Frappa Mochaccino Latte Frappo Wappo, and like that's $20 right there. Then I got to park, gas. You're looking at, this is one thing I'd have to agree with Avery on. Like, this costs money. And it's my time. It's a half hour. I probably have to date for 45 minutes. It's 20. You're talking about 2-3 hours for this coffee.
Yeah, because
we're casually getting.
They're not taking.
Putting my fingers up.
They're definitely not taking into account the fact that you have to leave your house, drive all the way to the girls' house.
Put on pants.
Yeah, you do have to get dressed. Don't forget to get dressed, and then you have to go all the way to
Staten Island
house, or Staten Island, which could take 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
And then you have to go to the coffee place, which can take another 20 minutes. And then you have to order the coffee.
Oh, I'm getting sick just
and you have to sit there for at least another hour.
Yeah, but
and
then
guys, at that point, you have to drop the girl back off.
But that's just 2 hours to meet your best share. Isn't it worth it?
No, so then you could, I would just say is that like, does she want to, really, I would really think about whether I would agree to that. But I think the shadchan should realize that it's not just a coffee. It's probably a lot more than just a coffee. It's like a drive there, pick up, drop off.
Yeah, and I think like Leah said, the emotional investment also. Like, I'm not looking to pitch. I pitch myself enough at work. Okay, trying to sign clients. I don't need another pitch here. Well, yes. Hi, my name's IJ. I have a very successful shidduch podcast that I do in my parents' basement, and let's get married. No,
a random shadchan call me, which has happened before. I'm on some list or something, and they'll call me and they'll just be like, they'll just call me and they'll be like, oh, I saw your resume on this list, and I think I have somebody for you. And when I was really like not into it, I'll just, not into the resume, not into the idea of going out with somebody right now from a random shadchan. Yeah. I will just say like, oh, I'm sorry, like, I'm not really looking for new shadchans. That's what I say. I literally say that. I say, I'm not looking for new shadchans. I have a few shadchans that I talk to. And I'm sorry.
I think that's fine.
I've never heard that, but I kind of love it.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
She's the one.
Ted Mosby, she is the one. And I don't always go off on the shadchan because there are many times when I might get, as a guy, many no's back. I don't know. I'm sure the girls have that issue as well. But I will get many no's in a row. All right, that happens. And at that point...
Do you want to talk about that?
Later. Okay, we'll get some hot chocolate and talk about it. But seriously speaking here, okay, on my paid time. Okay, so I will sometimes I will tell them, I am sorry that, I might be sounding brash right here, but I'm gonna respond in the way I've been getting response and just say no. And give it back to them. I'm going to be tough. I'm going to convey my anger a little bit, maybe take it out on the wrong person. I'm getting no's. I could say no. I don't know why you, like, all these girls are so perfect. They get, I have to be the one who takes the hit.
Do you think it's better to say no, or do you think it's better to say, oh, I'm busy now. Because I've heard people say both responses. Like, it's better to just say you're busy than just say no, because...
Yeah, you heard that on this podcast.
I mean, saying no is obviously worse than saying I'm busy.
No, just say no.
I did hear it on this podcast, actually.
Just say, well, the problem
So you
is
won't
that
hurt
if
the
you
girl.
really are not interested,
Yeah.
right? If you're on a break, no, okay, so that was when we were on a break, right? But in this predicament you might be in, you're just, it's like, I'm sorry, it's a no. You have to tell them.
Yeah.
You have to say, look, it's a no.
Because you're going to be busy for a very long time.
Very, and you might actually like marry her best friend, but because you were busy for 10 years,
Right.
it didn't happen.
Oh, I hear that. Okay, fine.
Okay, so guys, let me ask you a question. You're dating this girl. There's nothing wrong with her, but there's nothing right with her. So, like, when do you just say, I'm done, without being like, you need to date more, maybe something's going to come out of it? Like, no, I have nothing nice to say. I have nothing not nice to say. Like, let's just move on.
When do you draw the line and say no?
Well, there has to be enough positives to warrant the continuation. That is paramount to all the to anything I'm thinking of with this girl. Do I find her attractive, physically, mentally, emotionally? Is she engaging to me? Do we have a dynamic? Are we building chemistry?
Yeah, but also sometimes you're just building friendship. So when do you just say
That's
friendship
very
and
tough.
move on?
That's very tough
That's
to
like
actually
really-
be able to break down and disseminate. Are we actually, is this a solid friendship relation? Or is this do I see you as a wife? I think those are some, in those instances, by
important
the way,
questions.
I would absolutely make the shotgun work for the money. Say, here's my problem. Hear their response. Obviously, if they're not good, you'd lower
How's a
the
shotgun going to tell you what you feel? No, that's something that
well,
you need to do.
I would just say, like, oh, here's a situation. Like, are there some tools you can give me that I can, bring up on the date? Like, maybe it's a certain game to play, or it's certain questions you should ask, or maybe just actually having that conversation in order to really disseminate whether are we friends, are we, that's a whole other thing. So I think one big thing for the girls probably is like, when this guy, you're in the dating relationship, like you just ask us, and I think that's a great point, Rosie, you mentioned. What if you have an issue with the way the guy's actually dating? And let's just say he take you to Starbucks or not doing enough activities. Like, is there any content calling up the shotgun and being like, okay, so this guy just doesn't keep on going to Starbucks? Like, what do you do? Are you afraid to speak up in that in that area?
I think this should be done with the boy directly. And I know you said that girls shouldn't plan dates.
They
but
should never.
in this scenario, so like maybe like, hey, you know what, sweetie? I'm going to do this date. And then you plan what you want to do, which will lead to more activities or whatever you wanted to do.
I think it'll help the guy also. Maybe they just don't want to take you on another Starbucks date, but they just don't know where to go. So I guess the girl could always say like, oh, maybe like, let's go to the park or something, or maybe a different type of restaurant, like not the same Starbucks, because people could only go to so many Starbucks around here or around your neighborhood.
I mean, but what if you just can't stand them? Like, what would you do then?
In middle of the
In
date?
the middle of the day?
Well, let's just say like, let's say in the middle of the day they do something ridiculous, like very rude to the waitress. Like, they say like, oh, you know what, the fries here are terrible. I've been here before, and the fries here are just like, they're really not good. And then the waitress or the waiter is just like, what are you talking about? The fries? Like, why would you make fun of my fries? How would you respond if the guy said something like that?
I'd feel
In a politically correct way.
Yeah, like, what would you think of the guy? Like, a guy says the fries
here's how
here,
I would.
and then they say like, and then you say like, oh, by the way, don't say that. Like, it's not proper. And then they say like, oh no, this guy's just a waiter. He doesn't really care. Like, it's not his restaurant.
I think it really warrants like a response from you. Depends on how invested you are in the guy. So
Yeah.
if you don't care, then it's just like, whatever.
okay, throw it over the
I'll
shoulder.
disengage and just stare at you blankly and like not have a conversation with you. But if you actually like him and you care about him, you should be like, hey, like, what was up with that?
Yeah, do you think that's a red flag?
We don't talk to
I
people
think that
like
could be
that.
a red flag. Yeah, I think that definitely is a red flag. Like how you talk to the waiter or waitress is definitely a big flag for me. I wouldn't
And
like
you'd have
throw it over.
you'd have to bring that up.
Yeah,
Shalom
I would
task
definitely bring
force.
it up either
You
to the
would?
person.
Rosie, you would actually call
Shalom
call the
task
song.
force, start coming now.
Oh, set the task force at. So I mean, I would handle it like I would like bite my tongue.
I would be quiet.
Hope he or she pays for dinner. And when the shotgun gets back to me, I would be like, and if I really had a problem with this, I'd be like, okay, so I didn't realize they had a great time. That's awesome. And wow, that's like so nice to hear. Yeah, like she's a great girl and all, but I just don't see it going anywhere. That's the best response to just give in that predicament.
Or no, because then you're gonna get but why? What happened? Right? You're just
but then you could tell
back.
them, they were kind of rude to the
waitress.
But
then I say, well, look, to be honest, Shadchan eats Shandel Madel, and she was very rude. Oh, I think you're just being overreactive.
She was very nervous today. It was a change in scenery. She was nervous.
Yeah, change in scenery. I've heard that one, by the way. I've heard of that one, the change of scenery. And then I'm also concerned that at some point they just are going to be like, look, you're too picky. You're the worst. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5 worst letters to put together to a single.
You're too picky. You're just too picky.
Oh my God, I hate it. It's so.
Yeah. Are you actually really told that? Has someone told you are too picky?
6,024 times.
Wow.
True story. Picky is I don't know. Does anyone have anything to say on the picky the picky comment?
This is your life. You get to see you're marrying your person.
No, I'm not gonna back down from my
picky.
Standards.
Yeah.
I mean, look,
But I've just never been told I'm too picky.
I'll tell you, I have a friend, or I had a friend. I don't really talk to him anymore, but he was one of those guys that were way too picky. So there's levels, there's levels of picky, there's picky where it's like, what, I have what I'm looking for and that's what I'm looking for. But then there's picky where no matter who he goes out with, or
you're going to find something wrong.
They're going to find that it didn't work out because they're not good enough. And then if the person is good enough, then it doesn't work out. And then at that point, that person is going to be stuck. And that's where the picky, you're too picky, will result in potentially, now you're stuck. And that's what you want to avoid. So there should be a little bit of a balance. But yeah, you have to be picky because you don't want to just end up with somebody that's not what you're looking for, right?
I think it also depends what you're picky about. If you're picky about let's say
looks,
that
would be.
I've definitely gone out with a guy who told me straight to my face, I only date girls who have blonde hair and blue eyes. And I was like, okay, that's definitely not a good sign for me.
Yeah.
And I don't like that.
No.
And he's still single. And I think it's a little weird that you have to be picky on such little things. Be picky about your values or how you want to raise a family or your, midot and stuff like that. Not necessarily on the attractiveness.
IJ, what do you think about that? Is it always picky on attractiveness, or is it picky
Someone
on?
asked me a question.
Or is it picky on midos or family or location or other elements?
If you ever tell a shadchan it's based off of personality and real values, they're 99% of the time not gonna question you. So you have to make sure you're able to convey exactly your feelings properly, differentiate the differences of, what you think separates you from that person, whether it's hashkafically or whether it's more value-based in general, not just Yiddishkeit-wise. So very, very important to make sure that the shadchan you're dealing with, even if you're comfortable with them. But most of the time, whether you're comfortable or not comfortable, it's a real go-to answer and probably the best one you can find in terms of just trying to blow the shadchan off to be like, leave me alone. It's really just personality and characteristic traits. And from my experience, they're not going to really question that. And most of the time, sadly, this is exactly our response has to be, because you get the same shadchanim setting the same very outrageous ideas to you, and you have it's garnering up in you. You just want to go at them lambastically. How could you send this? Why? How? And all the other 4-letter words I could think of, which I won't mention. And you just want to be like, what's wrong with you? You know, I mentioned before in one of the episodes, this is a business. This is about feelings. Treat it like a business. Treat it with people with feelings. Pretend this is a client. This is the best kind of client you can have. You're getting olam haba if you make this happen, if you get the shot, if you can get this single married. And I think it's something a lot of shadchans forget when they're listening to these, you know, classic responses and parlance. Oh, well, I just don't mind him this, or they're like this. I think they need to see through that and just say, you know, I feel like maybe I'm missing a little bit of what you're actually looking for. Talk to me about it. Before I send you another idea, tell me. I really want to help you. And I think if you approach it in that sentimental way, we will all have cured the shidduch crisis.
Amen.
Sure.
Yeah, 100%.
I have a question for you though. You are too picky, right? You said you've been told that multiple times. Does that turn into, do you even want to get married?
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. I know.
No, I'm asking like legit. Are you
legitimately many times, not too many, but many times. It's like, I don't even think you want. Do you really want to get married?
Why?
Do you really want to be married? I'm like, well, let's see. I have to talk to you 7 times a day. I think clearly I want to be married. Fifi, I'm sure you have the same experience.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I think that they shadchans, like you were saying before, is they just don't put in the time sometimes. I mean, I do have one shadchan that I was working with for a while, and she was actually a person that you can talk to for like 20, 30 minutes, you know, like at a time, and really discuss what's going on and see, you know, what are the issues and really try to get into it. But I feel like a lot of shadchans, it's just kind of like shooting in the dark type of thing, where they're just throwing out resumes and they're hoping one will hit.
Sticks.
And that kind of thing, I think, like you were saying, IJ, is not the way that shidduchim should work. It's not like, you know, you're gambling on a resume and let me just email it because I think it, you know, I have a hunch, you know? I mean, that's not how you invest in the stock market. So that's not how you should send out resumes
For your life.
you know, for people's futures. So, you know, I think
Great
definitely
analogy.
there should be more investigation into what is this person really looking for before they're going to try and set you up. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe they
Yes,
want to
yes.
get, yeah.
No, 100%.
That's why you guys, as guys, have that much harder. That's like one of, I think, your bigger struggles in dating versus us, because we got something. Somebody already looked into us. Somebody already said yes.
Yeah.
Someone felt that maybe we can vibe together versus you just here's like a ream of paper and pick one.
Okay, guys, so for our lightning round, okay, first things that come to your mind as like the most popular responses when, you know, you got to be politically correct to the shadchan.
No, I didn't call the reference. I do it my own way. I call friends and families.
Leah?
So, what in particular made you think of this person for me? I'm not perfect, but I'm not a train wreck either.
Okay, Fifi?
So why did you make fun of the waiter exactly?
Yes, I have a problem with that. That's a good one.
I'm not judging, but just calling a spade a spade.
I like that one. Leah?
They don't respect my opinion.
I hear that a lot. Okay, cool. Okay, I loved it. Okay, well, we're going to get to our closing in just a second. I hope you enjoyed this ad. Hey listeners, it's IJ from the Nobody Talks Shidduchim podcast. I wanted to take a moment to tell you about Greenpoint Podcast Studio. It's where we record. We record there every single episode. It is a beautiful, newly renovated, brand new, right in the heart of Greenpoint in Brooklyn. And it's basically a little bit close to Williamsburg, just a few minutes from Flatbush, Borough Park. If you're in Queens, it's close to there. And hey, if you're in the 5 towns or New York City, it's just a quick 25 to 35-minute drive away. So you can follow them or get in touch with them by going to greenpointpodcaststudio.com to book your next podcast session. So in closing to the not up my alley and all the politically correct responses you'll need, we've definitely gone through perfect scenarios where you're going to be enticed to respond belligerently or politically correct. whatever happens, sometimes there are things left in an ambiguous way. Like the shadchan's going to take it in one direction, and you obviously might think of it about it in another direction. Ultimately, you want to make sure you're conveying everything you can, but you're gonna be scared. You're gonna be content. Like I don't like always saying, well, they're not up my alley. They're just too quiet. They're just too loud. I think I don't want to ever come off too parochial. I want them to understand that I am open-minded. But I always love this analogy, and I just tell them, like, look, it's like I'm shopping on Amazon. I'm going to the filters, and we're clicking out this size and this pair and this that, and then finally you get to the merchandise, and that's what I'm looking and browsing through. So I think I like that. That's a classic shadchan analogy right there, right? Can I get a laugh? Thank you.
I got you.
I was like, everyone's like ready to kill me. So. I just always want to make sure that I'm not getting like the antithesis of me, some different person, someone I'm not really interested in, or something like that, where I'm going to feel like it's not going to go anywhere. And there's so many issues with these shadchanim that come up from total miscommunication. And, yes, a coffee will kill me. Stop sending me your sloppy seconds. Enough of these outrageous ideas. I think there are definitely the right settings to convey this in, and always, stand with your integrity at the end of the day. Most important thing is have your integrity paramount to everything else, because they need to know that you know where you are and where you stand. So with that said, one thing, Leah, what was one thing you learned from this episode?
I mean, going off what you said about integrity, I think you shouldn't let the shadchans bully you. Just kind of say what you want. You could say no if you want to say no. This is your life. And unless you really 100% think like this person isn't for me, just say no. It's your life. You don't want to waste your time. You want to marry someone that really fits your values and really fits what you want. So don't let the shadchans tell you otherwise.
I love it. Fifi, one thing you'll start doing after this.
I think going from all the conversations we've spoken about, it seems like the shadchans are really out there trying to help the people that they're, setting up. They're not really out there to bully you, but they're just trying to push you into something that may or may not be your basher. So I think one of the things we have to realize when we are responding, and maybe we are not interested, we should definitely give them some benefit of the doubt. And I think that's what I will do. And just know that they're looking for your own benefit. And if you have to say no, you should say no. But you should realize that, they're not looking to get you. They just want to try to help you. So I think when I do give a response, I'm going to make sure that it's politically correct and not be too belligerent, like you said, IJ. And just make sure that I give them the respect that they deserve.
Wonderful. Very well politically correct phrase. I don't want to say that.
I was going for that.
Rosie, one thing you're going to stop doing from now on that you heard this conversation.
I think, Fifi, you brought this up, and I think it's great. I think I'm going to stop just listening to those random shadchanim who call you and get your number and just be like, I have someone for you. Let's continue using the people who actually know us and the shadchanim who you can talk to, like you said, and explain what you need and what you don't want. And hopefully that will make my dating life easier.
I love it. I love it. You are all
Thank you.
Astute, fantastic guest hosts, and we really enjoyed having you all on. So once again, this is IJ, the Nobody Talks Shidduchim podcast. As I usually end off, happy face, smiley face, silly face. Hey, it's one thing you love about us. This is the Nobody Talks Shidduchim podcast. Hey guys, I just wanted to do a special little message from me in regards to Avery not co-hosting with us anymore. Avery's actually taking on more of a director / executive producer role, which I also do, but he's going to be taking a lot more strategic initiatives, program initiatives, and that we can develop a lot more content and precise matters for the show, so we can help everyone get to those situations and unfortunately those predicaments that they might end up getting into. And we wanted to just perfect that. So that's a big reason why Avery kind of stepped away, and I'm going to miss him. I love when he's on. I feel so comfortable when he's here with me because this is our baby. We built this. And he's like a brother to me in many ways. We're still friends outside. We're still business partners outside. Like, it's not ending. Avery's always on Instagram with the polls and all those cool messages everyone listens to. So he's with us. And hopefully, we'll have him back every now and then. And I wanted to make sure everyone knows that there's no bad blood. I know people are like, this is a Alex and Sophia Barstool kind of thing. It's not. And, Bezrat Hashem, we will, be able to deliver our mission of helping everyone out in their shidduch journey and enjoying it. And taking back shidduchim in the singles hands, we'll be able to fulfill that and deliver it through fruition. Thank you.
The LMNO Broadcast Network.